welcome back to another episode of Doodling Through Education. For my CC students, this is Cycle 1, Week 21, History. For everyone else, that just means we're going to be talking about Canada and the early exploration of this country. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and head on over to doodlingthrougheducation.com. I've developed worksheets that go with each of these videos. There's 4 worksheets per subject per week, and you can purchase those there. You can buy them by quarter as well if you're just now joining us. So you can buy that last quarter to go along with the later weeks of our CC year. And there's a link for that in the description. Without further ado, let's start doodling. Like I said, today we are going to be talking about Canada. So, most of us know where Canada is located, but for those of us that do not, Canada lies north of the United States in North America. So if you live in the United States, it is your closest northern neighbor. The U.S. state of Alaska also sits on its northwestern border. The Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Arctic Oceans form the rest of its borders. Canada is a large country, and its largest natural region is rocky and mostly flat. And this covers the eastern, central, and northwestern parts of the country. On the west side of Canada, there are many plains that stretch from the Arctic Ocean all the way to the U.S. border. So let's talk about the explorers that first landed in Canada. All the way back in 1497, there was an Italian explorer by the name of John Cabot. He landed in eastern Canada, and this was after Christopher Columbus reached the Americas. And so news of this expedition was reaching to many different parts of the world. And so in England, King Henry VII decided to send John Cabot to seek new lands for England. And so he reached North America in 1497. And in doing this, he claimed Canada for England. They explored the coast of Canada near what is now Newfoundland and Labrador, and it is thought that the ship may have also reached what is now the U.S. state of Maine. This was a short-lived trip because in the later part of 1497, Cabot returned to Bristol. The very next year, the king sent him on another trip. He had a hypothesis that by sailing south along the land that he had found on his first trip, he could reach Japan. So he left England with 5 ships. One of these ships did stop in Ireland, and the other 4 ships mysteriously never returned. It is unknown what happened to Cabot. He may have reached North America again, or it is thought that he may have died at sea. Fast forward 100 years, and the French explorer Samuel de Champlain traveled along seacoasts, lakes, and rivers of North America. It was in 1603 that Champlain made his very first visit to an area that is called New France. And he claimed this area, which is near modern-day Quebec, and he claimed this area for France. He returned in 1604 with a group of settlers who started a colony in what is now Nova Scotia, and this colony failed, but Champlain was able to use his time there to explore the Atlantic coast as far south as what is now Rhode Island. Champlain sailed to Canada again in 1608, and it was at this time that he founded the city of Quebec as a trading post on the St. Lawrence River. This settlement was the first lasting settlement for France. Champlain was able to make friends with the Huron people of the region, and he even traveled with them south in 1609 to fight the Iroquois in what is now the U.S. state of New York. It was at this point that he happened upon a lake, and that lake is now called Lake Champlain. In fast forward to 1615, he took another trip and it was here that he reached Lake Huron. And this was the very first documented trip that showed a European reaching the Great Lakes. Because this region was claimed for France, the French were able to then set up more settlements in the region, and they understandably named it New France. Now, the British were seeing all of this happening, and because of this, they became very interested in the region. And so in 1670, the English actually started Hudson's Bay Company, and this built trading posts around Hudson Bay, James Bay, and the Arctic Ocean. Hudson's Bay Company traded many things with the indigenous people. The indigenous people would bring pelts from beavers, foxes, bears, and wolves. And in exchange for these pelts, the company would give the indigenous people things like weapons, bullets, beads, fishhooks, axes, sewing needles, scissors, cooking pots, and even wool blankets. Over the next 100 years, the British and French fought wars over this sought-after land. And then in 1763, Britain was able to defeat France in the French and Indian War, and they claimed Canada as part of the British Empire. This made New France into the colony of Quebec. Now, let's talk a little bit about the maple leaf. The Canadian national flag has a maple leaf on it, and this is a symbol for Canada. It is a symbol of pride, courage, and loyalty. It represents the people of Canada and their culture, and is incredibly important to the country. Maple trees made a very distinct impression on early settlers, and in the 19th century, that is when the maple leaf itself emerged as a symbol of national identity. From that time on, the leaf appeared more and more frequently and is now well loved by the people of Canada. And that's all we have for today. I hope you learned a lot about Canada in this video. And if you're from Canada, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from all of the Canadian followers. Also, if you have another fact about Canada, you can put that there too, because I think it would be great to see what other facts you know about our northernmost neighbor. Make sure you fill out those 4 worksheets for your homework this week. And on that note, remember to be kind, follow God's will, and take care. Bye.